Recording.
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. As Victor mentioned, it is 1900 hours, and I'd like to welcome you all to one of the best clubs in Sacramento, if not the world, PowerTalkers Toastmasters, and we are led by a very special person, Mr. Eddie Vieira. Please give our president a warm welcome.
Good evening, folks. Thank you very much for that, Quinn. I would like to welcome everybody to PowerTalkers 231st meeting. And today we have, it looks like we have a jam-packed agenda tonight. Looks like we still have a few people coming on board. But I'm going to go ahead and get started and let everybody know that we are still working on a couple of projects. Actually, I'll save those till the end when everybody's here. Let's just go ahead and get into the question of the day. We could go ahead and monitor, or I will, everybody that comes in who didn't answer the question today. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I hope everybody that's in California is staying out of the smoke. So I'm going to start with our question of the day. I'm going to go to my left, which will be Adriana. My question this evening is, what is your favorite quarantine snack? Let's talk about food right away.
Mine has been a rotating cast of various Trader Joe's chips. They're always something new to try. Right now it is a Pringle knockoff. Looks just like a Pringle, but it's from Trader Joe's, so it's better. And that is my current quarantine snack. And I will send it over to, how about Leon with that bow tie? Take it away, Leon.
Can you repeat the question, Eddie?
Sure. What is your favorite quarantine snack?
Grilled pork, grilled chicken. That is definitely my favorite quarantine snack. And let us give it to Jake.
Hi, everybody. I don't snack. So I would say the closest thing to a snack is I eat pickles. So that's it. Boring as all get out. Susan, what about you?
I would have to say macadamia nuts. That's been my favorite snack these last few months. I will pass it to Cliff.
But I think you're seeing it backwards, right? So
no.
The correct way would be, no, that doesn't work. It's Bark Thins. They're chocolate, low in sugar, and they satisfy my craving and they don't give me a lot of sugary junk.
Hey,
so we'll pass it to Lee.
Hello there. My favorite would have to be pistachios. Up until the last few months, I didn't eat many of them because it seemed like they were such a hassle, because I'm used to just sticking my hand in the bag and eating. But since I needed to cut down on my eating anyway, and you have to take time to eat them, I find them very tasty and absolutely delightful. I'm even beginning to enjoy peeling them.
Pick somebody else, Lee.
You.
My favorite snack in quarantine is my favorite snack ad infinitum. I don't see why anybody wouldn't want a cube of cheese at any time. So I'm going to move it over to Josh Reinheimer and see what his favorite snack is. I'm sorry, his favorite quarantine snack.
My favorite quarantine snack is a combination of what Jake and Leon said. I don't really snack, but when I do snack, I'm generally eating grilled meat that I have from earlier in the week. And so I'm generally eating either ribs or pulled pork. And I will pass it on to Demetrius.
Unmute. There we go. Well, let's go to Los Angeles to this place called Zanku Chicken, back when I used to eat meat. And they have this amazing garlic sauce, and it looks like almost like mashed potatoes, but it's like a creamy garlic sauce. And I was always wondering where I could find it from. And just the other day, I discovered that Trader Joe's has it. And then it was so remnant of the Zankou chicken sauce that I had Googled it, and somebody said that, yeah, they stole the recipe from this chain in LA. So it's a garlic, a creamy garlic sauce. It's kind of inspired from like a Turkish, like falafel type of sauce. Next is Quinn. Did you go already?
I haven't gone, and I'd love to share my favorite snack, quarantine or otherwise. Pretzels, the really hard ones from Snyder's that are large, and potato chips mixed together. And if you're really feeling like a snack, you put some Tabasco sauce on there. So you've got heat and salt and crunch, and it's great. But I want to hear from Needy. What's your favorite snack?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Snack. I'm not much of a snacker. I like to cook from scratch. So I'm going to say bibimbap. It's like a Korean dish. And I make it and I'll eat it over the next couple of days. So yeah. Is everyone gone?
I don't think Chris
No, not
Lopez
Lopez.
has.
Chris.
Hey, sorry, I was a bit late, but what was the question? What's your favorite snack during COVID times? Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
My favorite snack during COVID time? It'd have to be cereal. I tend to get really anxious or bored staying at home all the time. And I always feel like I need to be doing something. So I go and grab a bowl of cereal every hour or something. So I run through my milk fairly quickly. All right. So I'll pass it back to Quinn, right?
Actually, Pauline hasn't gone yet.
Pauline and Tallulah, yeah.
Okay.
So I'm too much of a snacker, so during quarantine I made the commitment not to bring any snacks home. But if I were letting myself snack, I'd probably be just going for a good old potato chip. I got a real salty tooth if that's a thing, so that's my go-to. And then I'll let Tallulah take it.
Thank you. During the quarantine time period, I also like the normal time, normal period of time and daily life because the supermarket is still open. So like the peanut, like the lao po cake, in Chinese white cake and some fun of SCM. Yes. Mr. Felice? Oh, Linda. No. In limit. How limited.
Oh, Linda just got here. How are you, Linda?
Lindy is muted.
Yeah, mute. You are muted.
She disappeared.
And she's gone.
Yep. That's all right. She'll be right back. I do believe everybody's gone, right? Everybody except me. Lately, my favorite snack has been two things. It's a cup of coffee and Kind breakfast bars. They're not too, for me especially, they're not too high in sugar or sodium. And it doesn't really curb the appetite to where I can go in between meals, but it's something I can have 2 or 3 of in between meals and not be guilty about. So, like I said earlier, we have a jam-packed meeting this evening. I'm drawing a blank on a lot of my stuff. That's okay. Today is the 17th, right? No, today is the 24th. See, I'm telling you guys, it's been a crazy day. Dialysis called me earlier today. Said on my phone, dialysis. I was like, who's this? What do you want me to do tomorrow? And oh, geez, that's right. So anyway, without further ado, we have a wonderful Toastmaster this evening who's going to get us started with 3 fabulous speeches. Let's everyone give a warm, big welcome to Mr. Leon Williams.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Our theme of the meeting is Monday night at the movies. Mostly during these times, I have watched more movies in the last 4 months than I have probably in the last 15 years. And we have things that we are all doing during the pandemic. That's just one of the things that we are doing. So in that vein, that's our theme. And our word of the day is oniric, of dreaming or of a dream state. Our meeting is scheduled in 3 sections. The first section is our prepared speeches. The second section is in our impromptu speeches. And the third section is our evaluation section. This meeting can't happen without a lot of important players playing their part. And before we get into those things, I'd like to introduce our humorist for the evening, who will be Chris Valenzuela, our joke master. Chris, to you.
I don't believe Chris Valenzuela is here yet.
Okay. Victor, tell us a really good joke.
A really good joke, even if you heard it before? Okay, here's what happened. A little boy was sitting on the sidewalk eating candy as fast as he could, unwrapping them, sticking it in his mouth, unwrapping it, sticking it in his mouth. I mean, chewing away, eating all this candy. And somebody walked by to him and said, you know, little boy, eating candy is not good for you. You know that, right? He said, well, I don't know about that, but my grandfather lived to be over 100 years old. He goes, really? Eating candy? He goes, no, minding his own business.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins, for that humor of the evening. Next, we have Pauline Arroyo, who is our grammarian. And she will be explaining what the word of the day is and what her role is in the meeting. Pauline.
Thank you, Leon. So my role in the meeting is grammarian. In that, I'll be looking for proper uses of the English language and any extraordinary usages of the English language as well. The word of the day is oniric. And as Leon mentioned earlier, it means of, relating to, or characteristic of dreams. And I'll pop that in the chat as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Pauline. Next, we can't have a meeting without some educational thoughts, some content that will help us in our way to being all that we can be. The person for that is Chris Lopez, who will be giving us an educational minute. Chris Lopez.
Thank you, Leon. I have, since today's theme is Monday night at the movies, I decided to take 2 quotes from 2 separate movies. I'll say the quote and perhaps everyone can try to guess what movie it's from. So the first one is, oh yes, the past can hurt, but you can either run from it or learn from it. Anyone?
My Life?
No, it's Rafiki from The Lion King.
Ah.
And the next one is, hey, where'd it go?
It ran from it.
All right, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
Hey.
Nice.
That was a
All right. Thank you. Back to you, Leon.
Thank you, Chris. Give Chris a round of applause. Okay. Our next role player for tonight's Grammy Awards is none other than Susan Anderson, who will be our timer for the evening. Susan, can you please describe your role?
Sure, thank you, Leon. So I will be your timer this evening, and my duty tonight is to make sure all of our speeches, all of our evaluators, and all of our table topics stay within the timing constraints. So at the minimum time, I will rise up a green card, and midway through, I will put the yellow, and when we're at the end of our time, I will put the red, and then we'll have 30 seconds beyond that to stay within your timing constraints. Thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Our next role player is none other than Miss Jake Tuzinski, who will be our all counter. Jake, let it roll.
Thank you. And thank you, Victor. Big hug. I hear it all, and it's like nails on a chalkboard. So I'm keeping track to make sure that we're not using filler words when a pause would do. I'm also adding to the list anytime somebody speaks and they're still on mute. Something new that we can start practicing when it comes to awareness. I'll just bring that to your attention at the end of the meeting. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Great. Our next speaker is not here, our next role player. So we need a listener for tonight. Would anybody like to volunteer to be our listener for the evening?
I'm already listening.
Okay.
It would be my pleasure. May I please volunteer?
Thank you, Jake. Yes, you may please volunteer. Thank you very much. Okay. Can you please explain the listener role?
As listener, I practice the art of following details that are shared during presentations throughout the evening. And at the end of the evening, I will quiz my fellow Toastmasters and guests to see if you too heard some of the same things I did. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Okay. Movies have always had an important impact on our lives. We remember them. Some we don't remember. Others we remember more than others. And as we go into tonight's speaker, we remember that all of the movies that we've seen usually have had some impact on our lives. To evaluate our first speaker is none other than Cliff Brackett, and he will be evaluating Lee Sullivan. Cliff, will you please tell us about Lee's speech?
Okay, well, first of all, Madam Timer, what is the timing constraints for Lee's speech?
Tonight for Lee's speech, he has between 4 and 6 minutes.
Okay, and Lee is doing an icebreaker tonight, and he's going to be sharing something about himself and interest and giving us an opportunity to get to know who he is.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Also, I will be asking for timing constraints after the evaluator introduces our speaker. As I said before, many movies have had great cultural impact. 4 of such movies were Star Wars, Rocky, The Godfather, and The Lord of the Rings. Those movies, we can all say that we remember them no matter what. And the impact that they had on our culture is huge. Lee Sullivan brings an eclectic background. His perspectives include economic, academic, and cultural impact. He believes his ideals can help others improve their awareness in these areas, thus improving their ability to move through life. Tonight, he will do just that. Help me welcome Lee Sullivan. Meet Lee Sullivan by Lee Sullivan. Lee Sullivan, meet Lee Sullivan.
I will pass through this world but once. Any kindness I can show to any human being, let me do it now. Let me not defer nor neglect it, for I will not pass this way again. Optimism, the hope of humanity. Hello, I'm Lee Sullivan, and I'm proud to be a member of this group, and I'm looking forward to many nights like this. But as I talk about optimism, I have to tell you a true story. When I was in Sedona, I used to live there. And someone invited me to a medicine wheel ceremony. And so we were smudged into the circle and we all walked around and we sat down and we had a very inspiring message from the shaman there. But what caught my ear and affected my life was the ending moments of this. He said that we're going to give thanks to the 7 directions. Well, I was really good with north, south, east, and west. And I was wondering what the other 3 could be. So he went up and he said a little prayer. And then I figured I had the next one in the bag. That was going to be down. But then when it came to the 7th direction, what was that? And he said inward. And it changed my life. And then additionally, for his benediction, he gave thanks to all the avatars on earth. Christ, Krishna, Muhammad, Buddha, on and on. And so that when you left there was nobody to hate, no one to disparage, no one to feel less than you or that you were above. And so I learned about inner directed behavior. That's the direction that's inward. And as a person that's on the motivational track, I like to motivate people to look inward, to not look outward, to not look for peer approval for everything you do, to be able to do things beyond what your family wants you to do, to not have your life lived by others, but to live your own life through inner directed behavior. And so I would just like to leave you with this tonight. Those that are looking for others, for their approval, are oftentimes having their lives lived by other people, and you're not even living your own life. I call this the approval seeking syndrome, or ASS for short. It's a case of the ass, and sometimes it's a big ass. If you don't move it, you don't know where you're gonna wind up in life. So I'm looking for more optimism and you to help me with my optimistic journey, to become a communicator, because I listen to you all talk and I'm impressed all the time. And so thank you very much for allowing me to join your group, and I'm looking for us to become optimistic together.
Thank you. Miss Timer, can you please put a minute on the clock? And while you do that, everyone, can you please send Lee a love note?
I love notes.
They love you.
That was time.
Thank you. Okay. Our next speaker will be Demetrius Chapman. Josh Reinheimer will be evaluating Demetrius this evening. Josh, can you please tell us about Demetrius's speech?
I most certainly can. He is presenting a speech from the presentation mastery pathway, and it is on level 2, speech number 1, which is effective body language. And so he will be choosing a topic that lends itself to expression through movements and gesture, and he will deliver a speech containing practiced and refined nonverbal communication.
Thank you. One of my favorite types of movies in the past was always those swashbuckling movies. I always loved the pirates, Pirates of the Caribbean, Pirates of Lake Folsom, Pirates anywhere. They always just seemed so dashing. One of my favorite movies was Mutiny on the Bounty. Mutiny on the Bounty was considered one of the best-selling movies ever made. The title of Demetrius' speech is The Sailor of Ships. Mr. Demetrius Chapman is an ambassador whose roots are in community organizing. In his speech, he will share how he's impacted the world by being a sailor of ships. Leaders in the audience who want to be superheroes for your family, business, or make waves in the world, take notes and expect great things to happen. Please welcome Mr. Demetrius Chapman. The Sailor of Ships, Mr. Demetrius Chapman, Mr. Demetrius Chapman, the Sailor of Ships.
Wonderful introduction. Friends, listeners, viewers, live streamers, everyone sitting behind your electronic device, if you want to transform your impact in the short time we have on this little blue planet, I believe you must be a sailor of ships. Relationship, mentorship, partnership, stewardship, and leadership. These 5 words align with my high value purpose. And I understand we all need a compass to sail the deep oceans and waves of life. So it's time to sail for something that can last forever. And I even encourage you, yes, you, I encourage you to inventory your own ships as business leaders, as educational leaders, as super friends, super moms, and advocates. But I know a little secret, and come close, let me tell you. I can tell you want to give more. I could see it. You're manifesting and carrying these gifts you want to distribute to the world. That's why you're here. Jake, Victor, you and everyone here are superheroes in your own lives, in your own ways. I could see it in your eyes. The most important aspect that has really had a paradigm shift for me has been sailing the ship of relationship. And there are 3 things I found about relationship that helped me be a superhero for the community and even my own legacy. Number 1, the seed of authenticity starts with the true vision of me, Demetrius Chapman Corporation. The organic me, mind you, not the SMO. You know, you've been hearing about all this genetically modified SMO, this socially modified organism that we are. It makes me think of this song by India Irie that my wife told me about and shared with me. We even saw her perform in concert here in Sacramento. It was amazing. And she had a song, I am not my hair. I am not this skin. I am not your expectations. I am the soul that lives within. Number 2, I give myself away, right? When we're sailing that ship of relationship, you have to give yourself away because it aligns with the higher calling, and you let go. You let go of your ego. You let it go because it is utilizing you. The world wants to use you, not how that ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or old friend used you and used your car or used your money for a free meal. I'm talking about your footprint on this world. And I was a part of an organization that really comes to mind, and they had this philosophy about the giver's gain. And what was great about it, it was phenomenal because that organization, they had a culture of giving out of joy. And if message me later, I'll give you a little bit more of it. I'll even give you the link because they have one here in Sacramento. And so that giver's gain helped me align with my relationship. And number 3, the final thing from superheroes that you see is that they're very intentional about their relationships, right? They often have a circle behind the scenes that you don't see. When you see people on the podium, you see people, Zuckerberg and Fortune 500 companies and running nonprofits and running businesses. And you guys here, you guys have people behind the scenes. And so coaches, wise counsel, advisors, those people behind the scenes understand their journey, understand your journey. I mean, even Batman had Alfred. And so to recap, 3 things being a sailor of ship, and that really helped me, was number 1, relationship. And what came within the relationship was the true relationship starts with you, the authentic you. Number 2, giving yourself away. And number 3, being intentional. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Ms. Timer, can you please put a minute on the clock while everyone sends love letters to Demetrius?
Yes.
Love notes.
Oniric.
That's such a great word, isn't it? Oniric.
There's a minute.
Thank you, everyone. Our last Academy Awards nominee is none other than Mr. Quinn Bunil. Victor Irving Jenkins will be evaluating Quinn this evening. Victor, can you please tell us about Quinn's speech?
The title of Quinn's speech is Getting Things Done. The purpose statement is as follows. The purpose of the speech is for the member to develop a detailed vision for his or her personal life.
We can barely hear you, Victor.
Oh, wow. Well, my microphone is not muted, so why can't you hear me?
We can hear you now. Just like
that was a trick to get me busted, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
I didn't do anything. The mic wasn't. Oh, okay. The purpose of this first speech is for the member to share some aspect of his vision. The member will deliver a well-organized, engaging speech to share his vision. The member may include information about the process of developing his vision or the benefits of bringing it to fruition. The speech may even be humorous, informational, or any style he chooses, and we will find out shortly. And the speech should not be a report on the content of the actual project. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Victor. Ms. Timer, can you please give us the timing constraints for Victor's speech?
Yes. Quinn will have 5 to 7 minutes. And at 5 minutes, I'll put up the green. And I apologize for not doing this for the prior speeches. And at 6 minutes, I will put up the yellow. And at 7 minutes, I'll put up the red. And then you'll have 30 minutes in addition to that to stay within your timing constraints. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Timer. I am always amazed at how they put these movies together. After you finish watching a movie, there are just some movies where you sit back and say, wow, how did they do that? It doesn't even matter what the plot was, but just the things that went on, the way it was put together, the scenes. One of the most important characters is a film director. A film director brings their vision to a film and communicates that vision to the crew. Having a vision as a film director is a matter of habit. The title of Quinn's speech is Getting Things Done. Have you ever struggled to understand your next step? Our next speaker will share their vision for starting a new chapter in life and accomplishing your goals. Mr. Quinn Bunil, Getting Things Done, Getting Things Done, Mr. Quinn Bunil.
A little over a month ago, I revealed to all of you something that I didn't realize until I got to this speech. That all of the life goals I had set for myself were done. And if you didn't have a chance to listen to that speech, I'll kind of give you the recap. When I was a little kid, I thought there were really 3 things that an accomplished person needs to do. And if you accomplished these 3 things and you died, you were great. You were great. I thought you needed to finish your education. And in 2014, I graduated from college. Check. I thought that you needed to travel to Europe because all of my successful uncles and aunts had traveled to Europe. So in 2018, Adrian and I went to Europe and the United Kingdom. Check. And the last piece was to achieve some sense of financial security. I was raised by a single mother. We moved around a lot, didn't have a whole lot of money. And so I thought that if I earned more than my previous generation, that I stood on the shoulders of giants and achieved that American dream to be better than the last, that I was accomplished. And I've done all of those things. And so last time I shared that I didn't know what to do next. I didn't have any life goals. I mean, for my whole life, I had been pulled by these 3 things towards better and brighter things. And now that I had accomplished them, there was no more pull. And I didn't personally have the drive. So now over the last couple months, the last month, I've thought more about what my purpose could be. And I've reflected on a lot of different things. And I learned that I really like processes. I like that reflecting on what I used to do and how to make that better. I mean, I've shared that with you all the time in all my educational thoughts. When I taught you about the stall when it comes to barbecuing, that was a thing I learned after reflecting on problems that I had faced before in previous days. I talked to you in my very first educational thought about the bloom, how you put, and that was all the way back in 2016 when Leon and I had joined, how you put herbs into oil so that it can extract better. All of those things and reflecting on those many educational thoughts and other things made me realize that that's what I should focus on, that that was really my goal and the thing that will pull me forward. So after much thinking, I have desired and developed a vision which is encapsulated in this statement. And it's essentially a statement that process, in my mind, is better than that purpose. And that statement is better than yesterday. So that is my vision, the charge for this speech. And each day I've committed myself to being better than I was yesterday. As a famous monkey once said, the past can hurt you, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it. And I think that I'm taking that to heart. And, you know, another person in our club, Victor, has always shared, anytime you ask him how you are, how are you, Victor? He'll say, I'm better than yesterday, but not as good as I'm going to be. And that's the philosophy I've adopted for this vision. So this speech is meant to tell you what I'm going to do to accomplish my vision statement, better than yesterday. And I want to show you some concrete steps that I've taken to plan and prepare and address that vision. So first, I have a little 99-cent journal that I use to keep a log of all of the major tasks that I do or minor tasks that I do in a given day. And I go back and I reflect on those tasks and see if there's something better than I could do yesterday. And once I find one of those things, I do some research. I research the best books, the best podcasts, best articles, everything I can do to figure out what about that thing that I did yesterday can I do better today and do even better tomorrow? And for me, we all read books, right? The question is, how do you remember what came out of those books? I don't think a lot of us can do that. I don't think you can remember everything that you read. So I have challenged myself for this vision to adopt just one key message for each book that I read or each podcast that I listen to. And I want to give you an example of one that I've recently done since I have had a month to work on this. So I recently experienced, right before a really important meeting, I couldn't find a resource, a handout that I needed for the meeting. And I couldn't find it on my computer, on my desk, or elsewhere. So the issue identified that I had waited so long to have this paper and I wasn't organized. So what could I do? So I researched lots of books. I found books that were referenced by experts in scholarly journals and commonly referred on Amazon and Google Reads and Goodreads. And I landed on this book, which you see in front of you, which I've mentioned a couple of times. And that book is called Getting Things Done, The Stress-Free Art of Productivity. And that's by David Allen. And I learned a lot from this book. David Allen in this book describes how a person can organize their life, and it's meant for executives so that they can have easy access to organizational principles. And the one thing that I took away from this, and I was reading this also to address productivity and procrastination, is that if you can do something in 2 minutes, you should do it now. So think about all those things where, you know, you put it off, something you could do in just a minute, maybe put that little pen away or increase the volume on your microphone or what have you. If you can do that thing right now in 2 minutes, don't put it off. Do it right now. And I think that process, helped me for my vision. So that's the plan I've developed for my vision. I hope to share it with you more commonly over time. If you're not really familiar, one other part of my vision and practice is to give entirely impromptu speeches that are developed just an hour before our meeting. So my goal will be after this to reflect on this speech and to see how I can give my next impromptu speech even better. So thank you everyone for listening to my vision. If you have any feedback or thoughts, I would love to hear them, and I will turn it back over to our Toastmaster. Thank you, Leon.
Thank you, Quinn. Wow. All of our Academy Award nominees, I don't know about you, but they gave the most wonderful speeches tonight. Ms. Timer, can you please put a minute on the clock while everyone sends Quinn a love note?
Yes. There's a minute.
Thank you. And Ms. Timer, can you please put another minute on the clock while everyone votes for which Academy Awards nominee was our best speaker for the evening?
Sure.
I think the vote has to be sent to me.
Yes, the vote will be, send your votes to Ms. Needy Dillon.
Okay, to where, Leon?
Pardon me?
Send them to where?
Pardon me?
Send the votes to where?
To Needy.
There's a minute.
Thank you. We are now 33% through our meeting. As we transition to the next phase of our meeting, which is our impromptu speeches, and we leave this phase, our prepared speeches, I want to leave you with just one thought. Many of us, when we're watching movies, it takes us someplace, and places that we like to go. That's why we go to the movies. We are catapulted to a different place. But I want everyone to just realize that we can catapult ourselves to any state, to any place we want to at any time. That's the power of the mind. And as long as we remember that, it doesn't matter what's going on in our lives, we can always get ourselves out of that moment and put ourselves in any moment that we want. The next phase of our meeting is table topics. And at this point, I would like to introduce our table topics master, Mr. Eddie Vieira. Take it, Eddie.
Thank you very much, Leon. As Leon mentioned, this is our table topics, the impromptu speaking. With the table topics, we do have two helpers. First one I would like to introduce is Susan Anderson. Susan, as our timer, can you tell us the timing constraints for our table topics?
Yes, so we will have between 1 and 2 minutes for table topics. At the 1 minute mark, I will put up the green. At the 1 minute, 30 seconds, I'll put up the yellow. And at 2 minutes, I'll put up the red, and then we'll have an additional 30 seconds to finish.
Thank you, Susan. Everybody give her a round of applause. And our next helper will be our grammarian, Pauline. Pauline, can you remind us of the word of the day, please?
Yes, the word of the day is oniric, and it is in the chat with the definition being of, relating to, or characteristic of dreams.
Awesome. Thank you, Pauline. Everybody give her a round of applause. Jake, you have a question?
Can I please hear that in a sentence? Used in a sentence?
Pauline, can we hear that in a sentence?
Yes. The pasta I had yesterday was oniric.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Well, getting started with our table topics, just about everybody who's here tonight has a role. So some of you who have a role are going to be called upon. However, our first person tonight that I will call on, I need to make sure he's still here, is Taloy. Taloy, your table topic is, if you could do something dangerous just once with no repercussions, what would it be?
Some dangerous low combat step. I don't like to take the risk to have a journey. But if you must have if you need to must choose a option, I maybe try to fly to the sky, because the academic period of time is boring and nothing to do. If I can borrowing to learn to lease a rocket to go to the space, maybe I had happy things. It's still not to regard it as a risk things, because as you can go out and nobody touch you, no virus touch you, and but there may be lonely. Also, one kind of isolation, absolutely isolation, but you have no food to eat. It is a problem. If you have money, I suggest you to lease a rocket to go to the space, because you never know the virus when the virus stop. Is it stop now? No. The vaccine is not still out, so it's dangerous. So just go out to the space. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tuloy. Now this next question I saved for a specific person. Adriana, I know you're general evaluator. However, your table topic, if not now, when?
If not now, when? My answer would be yesterday, or perhaps even a week or 2 or 3 ago. I am actually a big procrastinator, so some of the things that Quinn spoke to really spoke to me. And I even remembered back to my high school days, where sometimes I would procrastinate on a project so long that I would stay up all night the night before it was due doing it. And then I would call in sick the next day because I was so tired I couldn't even go to school. What's the point? I still missed my deadline. I stayed up so late working on the project, couldn't even go to school and turn in the project. I distinctly remember a book report where I did that. So that has persisted even into my adulthood. I think sometimes it even persists into my dreams, my oniric world, where I will sometimes dream of things that I did not turn in on time. So I find that at work, different projects that I put off to the last minute, and then the scramble at the end. So if not now, when? I hope the answer in the future is well in advance, so that I do not need to stress about it. Mr. Toastmaster, or Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Adriana. Now our next topic is going to go to Jake. Looked like you were going to take off for a second there, Jake. Jake, your topic is there such a thing as perfect?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. In an oniric world, maybe. But for me, I use the phrase good enough. I think people get trapped in perfect. I think that if you're constantly working on perfect, that it may never be good enough. I personally like to set a goal, and in that goal, I decide, when will I be satisfied? Yes, things can always get a little bit better. And maybe like Quinn, when we do research, we need to know what's our stopping point going to be, because there's always a rabbit hole and we can always go further and further and further, right, Quinn? If we wanted to, we could just keep looking for something. And same with when people are doing a document and they can play with fonts and they can change the colors and they're looking for just perfect. But really, it's knowing what it is you need to achieve and deciding when you have achieved it. So to me, it's got to be good enough, or you may never get to the next step. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Jake. All right, we're going to do one more. I know some of these are a little off the wall and not with our theme, but it's what I came up with and I really like them. Our next table topic participant will be Mr. Chris Lopez. Chris, your question is crying a sign of weakness?
According to the majority of the machista Hispanic culture, I would say to them it is. But I think, to me, myself, I don't think so. Not anymore. For a while, I thought being tough was, and never showing any type of weakness was the right approach and what a real man was. But as I get older, I realize that you can only grow if you're able to show vulnerability and weakness. And when you mask it with the culture that I've been growing up with, you don't really grow. So I would say crying is completely fine. Doesn't make you any less manly. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. With that last table topic, Chris, I grew up in a similar background. I can totally relate. I absolutely agree. Madam Timer, did all of our table topic contestants meet the timing constraints?
Yes, they did.
And Madam Grammarian, did everybody use the word of the night?
For word of the day, I had that Adriana used it and that Jake used it, but I don't believe I heard it from the other two.
Okay. As the table topic master, everybody used the word tonight. So let's go ahead and send our vote for the best table topic contestant to Needy. And we will take 30 seconds to do that. And only because I already did my vote, I'm going to say that's been 30 seconds. I would like to thank all of the table topic participants this evening for joining me. And now I'm going to turn this wonderful meeting that Leon is doing a wonderful job with to our general evaluator, Adriana Lucero.
Thank you so much, Eddie. I appreciate it. Welcome to our final segment of our meeting, which is our evaluation portion of the meeting, the opportunity to learn through feedback, whether that's for our speakers or for our whole meeting as a whole. And we're going to actually start it off with our timing constraints for our evaluators. So Susan, will you please show us what those look like?
Sure. So evaluators have 2 to 3 minutes. At 2 minutes, I'll put up the green. At 2:30, I'll put up the yellow. And at 3, I'll put up the red. And then you'll have an additional 30 seconds to complete your evaluation.
Thank you. Let's give Susan a round of applause for keeping us on time. Love it. Thank you very much. And then we will send it over to our first evaluator. So our first evaluator tonight is Cliff Brackett. Cliff will be evaluating Lee's icebreaker speech. So please help me welcome Cliff, our first evaluator.
Thank you, Madam Evaluator, General Evaluator. Lee, it's always fascinating to hear a person's icebreaker because sometimes they get into areas totally unrelated to who they are, but many times we do get to know who they are. And it was, for me, personally very satisfying to learn where you're coming from in life, what your aspirations are. And it was really you could have spoke, I think, for another couple of minutes or so, and it would have been nice to hear more about where your perspective and your values, your core beliefs. So I really I acknowledge you for making it personal and really letting us get to know you. You are an articulate speaker, and it's obvious that you feel comfortable, at least it appears to me that you feel comfortable speaking in front of a group. So as a long term evaluator. I tend to look at somebody with your skills and to acknowledge what you did well, but also to look at a little bit more of where you can go, because I think that's what you're really looking for, where you can go to improve, to take the skills and the abilities you have and go to the next step. So my suggestion is, since we're stuck with this video technology, look at how, see, when you're talking close and your face is the main focus, sometimes that can be distracting. Sometimes it's better if you step back and let more of your body be seen. So you want to experiment with it. I think that's really one of the things in Toastmasters that we're striving to do, is to help people become more comfortable with the technology, since we're going to be stuck with it one way or another. The structure of your speech, you know, you had a structure and I really got it. And it was your first one. And no doubt, even though you're experienced, I'm sure there was some nervousness, and I really appreciate that. One of the things that I have found to be my greatest weakness is I don't spend enough time preparing my presentations. So I would urge you that this be something that you really spend a little bit of time on, because you've got this strength, you've got this persona, you've got this power of being the presence. So making the speech where the structure is smooth and effective, it allows your more of your talent and ability to come out in a way that really will resonate to the audience. And you find that you have a real sincerity and a genuineness that makes it interesting and fun to listen to. And I acknowledge Quinn for that as well. But excellent job. And I am excited to hear where we go from here. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Cliff. Excellent evaluation. Welcoming Lee to our club, and also, because he clearly is an experienced speaker, giving him some ideas of what he can work on next. So thank you. Next up, we have our second evaluator, and our second evaluator tonight is Josh Reinheimer, and Josh will be evaluating Demetrius. So please help me welcome Josh, our second evaluator.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. First of all, Demetrius, wow, excellent job. We can all tell that you are a very experienced speaker, that you have plenty of experience in front of the screen, also just in front of groups, that you know exactly how it is that you can excite the group themselves, and then also just give an excellent speech. So with this particular presentation mastery, and it was to use effective body language, and you did exactly that. You were able to use your body, you were able to use your voice, use your eyes, and even do small things like use the distance that's available with Zoom to emphasize the point that you had. So with the speech itself, you followed a standard 5-point speech. You had an intro, you had 3 supporting points, and you had your conclusion. And these 3 things that you brought up were being the captain of your life, of the ship that you're on, and those 3 points were your relationships, giving yourself away and being intentional. And so with each one of these things, you lent themselves really well to using good hand gestures and to using good body movement, and also poising yourself in front of the camera well. And one thing that I want to point out that I think you did really well was using that distance, because there were times when you wanted to, as if, speak to each of us. So you got close as if I was speaking to each and every single one of you. And then you move back away again as if the secret point or the very small thing you wanted to tell to each person, you had told them, and you wanted them to speak more generally. When it came to using other body gestures, you did a good job. When you were talking about, when you're quoting a particular song, you then were grabbing your hair and grabbing your skin and pointing inwards towards you as an individual. But while there are so many things that you did well, there's a couple points I want to bring up to you that perhaps you're not aware of, or that will make better, further presentations a little bit better. The first thing was that, unfortunately, your hand gestures didn't show as much because we are using a screen and you don't have a room in front of you. We sometimes didn't get to see your hands. Instead, we only saw the shadow of your hands moving because they were off of the screen. And so that was a little unfortunate because I'm sure that a lot of the gestures that you had were extremely practiced and emphasized some of the particular points that you would be bringing up. And we didn't really get to see those very much because you were unfortunately right here instead of being perhaps right here. And then the final thing, which is a small thing, but since you are clearly a very experienced speaker, this is just a little cherry on the top that you should be aware of. And that is when you haven't memorized your speech and you're reading it, try to make sure you're not looking at your speech too often, or if you do, have it right in your line of sight so it doesn't look like you are looking downwards or someplace else. I noticed a couple of times that you were looking down and to the left, and to me it seemed as though that's where you had your notes. And so multiple times I could see that you were darting your eyes down and then back up and then down and back up, and that distracted me just a little bit. And so just take note of that. So in closing, I really appreciate the speech itself. I appreciated your use of your body and of your voice and of the medium itself. And make sure to take note of small things like the distance itself and where you place your notes, or if you have your speech memorized. I look forward to hearing further speeches from you. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Josh. That was so well done. I really appreciated how you pulled out very specific points and talked about the impact, where I feel like sometimes an evaluation can be kind of general, but you even model to say this exact moment and this is the impact. So I just love that. Really great job with your evaluation, Josh. So our last evaluator tonight that we have is Victor Irving Jenkins, and Victor will be evaluating Quinn. So let us welcome Victor, our final evaluator of the evening. Victor, I can't hear you. So you must have changed your mic input. Maybe try to change it one more time and I'll let you know when I can hear you. Still cannot hear you. And still no. If it's helpful, I can take a report in the meantime while you mess with it. Would you want me to do that? Or we'll give you one more second.
You know sign language?
No, I don't think we know sign language here. We'll have to evolve to that point. So how about in the meantime, can I get, Jake, would you be ready for a listener report if I just called on you right now?
Yes.
All right. Take it away, Jake, with our
Thank
listener
you.
report.
We had quotes from 2 movies this evening. What were they? Thanks to Chris Lopez.
Lion King.
What were the 2 movies from? Or from which 2
Lion
movies?
King and Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
There we go. Then what is the 7th direction, thanks to Lee Sullivan's speech?
Inward.
Inward. All right. And for extra points, what are the other 6?
North, south, east, west, up, down.
There we go. Guys had me worried there for a second. What did, according to Quinn, what did the famous monkey say?
Yesterday.
Better than?
Better than yesterday. Was it better than?
Not as good as. We got this. Maybe Quinn unmute and help him out.
I would say Chris probably knows this one.
Chris, you got it?
Oh, Chris, you're on mute.
I am on mute. It is, the past can hurt, but either you can run from it or learn from it. Right?
There we go.
I stole it from Chris.
All right, that's our listener report. Let's continue on. I bet you Victor is just hot and fired up and ready to go. Look at that body language.
All right, let's give Jake a round of applause real quick.
Victor,
Wow.
call in on your cell phone.
Victor is speechless. All right. we will keep doing various reports. So I hope Pauline is ready. So I'm about to call on her in a second. Victor, you might try logging out and logging back in, or you can actually change your audio to your phone, but we're going to get it figured out. And I'm going to keep stalling as we figure it out. So Pauline, will you take it away with our grammarian report?
Absolutely. Thank you, Adriana. For the grammarian report, I went in and just highlighted one word that stood out for me from a couple of tonight's speakers, just because we had so many great uses of language. So from Lee, I really liked his use of the word disparage. Chris used the word machista. That was very cool. Demetrius used SMO, socially modified organism, which I had never heard of before. So I was
cool.
Leon used the phrase catapult to a different place. I thought that was a beautiful turn of phrase. And another great turn of phrase came from Quinn, who said standing on the shoulders of previous generations when he described the American dream. Thank you so much, Adriana. Back to you.
And let's give Pauline a round of applause. Victor, I heard a little bit of you. Try it again. You're so quiet, and I don't know why. Can you turn up your mic in your audio settings?
This is the quietest I've ever heard Victor.
Yeah, I think this is a meeting that needs to be sent out to everybody in TI, because Victor is actually not being heard right now. Sorry, Adriana.
No worries. So these things happen, right? And we have to be able to have little workarounds, or I'm sure when Victor figures out what it is, we will all then be more aware of what went wrong. So that's fine. I will keep moving it forward. Maybe we can ask for the awe counter report, but I feel bad because we don't have Victor's, but we'll just get it without Victor's ahs and ums. So Jake, take it away.
Thank you. We will, beginning with Leon. I'm amazed. I'm only getting him a half of a double clutch. It was just a slight grind, actually. So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, can we give a huge applause to Leon for that? Because that is amazing. That's it. No double words, no ums. He spoke a lot. I've never heard him do so amazingly well. Quinn, I'm going to get you on a kinda. That just didn't need to be there. That's it. Pauline, 2 ahs. Cliff, and a somewhat of an unmute. We got you with the sort of an unmute there, right? Okay, but you caught it. Chris, big award winner tonight. 3 ahs, 3 ums. Double clutch on a today. A yeah, 1 and double clutch on toy, something like that, the word there. Susan, 1 needy, zilch. Lee, 1 ah and 2 double clutches. Demetrius, I didn't hear anything. Eddie, I didn't hear anything. Taloy, 3 ahs, 1 Adriana, 1 double clutch, and Josh, 1 And so far, I'm feeling good, like I might have 0. Other than the like. Oh my God. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Jake. And as we wait for Victor to come back, I will do my General Evaluator report. And similar to what Jake was saying, I thought a big standout from this meeting was Leon and his role as Toastmaster. There was a lot of things that he did well that I think we can all learn from. The first is just switching up perspective. So the fact that he stood up, to me, I was, oh, this is different. You know, I'm so used to everyone sitting down. It just changed the perspective from the beginning and added a layer of formality. So I think if ever we find ourselves hosting an event that we want to add a little oomph to, standing up could be a good way of doing that. The other thing I noticed that I think Leon does well is just think about the fact that we have a movie production in front of us with the way our camera is pointing. So he has a pretty nice background. He has his camera pointed at an impressive bookcase. So something we might consider as we're thinking about hosting events is what do we want to aim our camera at? What do we want that background to look like so that we look very sophisticated and like we should be in charge of this whole show? He also chose a very spiffy outfit. He's got an excellent bow tie. He's got a blazer on. similar reminder to all of us that we may want to dress to impress, especially if we are hosting the Oscars or hosting an important meeting. And lastly, he printed the agenda. I think I could see that he had that in front of him. It allowed him to always know what was next. So if you have a printer, maybe print out the agenda. If you don't, maybe just take a minute and write down what the order of the meeting is so you're never caught not knowing what's next. So I just want to commend Leon on an excellent job as Toastmaster tonight. One last person I want to commend. Oh, let's applaud for that. You're right, Jake. Let's give Leon a round of applause. Yay. One last person I want to commend in this general evaluation is Victor. That pocket joke. Now raise your hand if you were called on to give a joke, if you could just seamlessly give a joke. Who else besides Victor could do that? Is there anyone else out there?
No one else.
Maybe Quinn.
Maybe Quinn.
Maybe a couple other Toastmasters. I challenge all of us, maybe Taloy would be able to do that. My challenge would be find a joke that you can have in your back pocket so that we don't always have to call on Victor. There's always going to be situations in Toastmasters or a situation at work where you could just bust out a joke and everyone would think you're incredible. So get a pocket joke, be like Victor. And now perhaps we can all try to be a little more like Victor if he's ready to give us an inspirational evaluation. Can we hear you? We still can't hear you. Wow, this is incredible. I don't know what's going wrong.
Time for Quinn's joke.
Sorry?
Time for Quinn's joke, maybe?
Time for Quinn. Quinn, do you have a joke?
Victor, call in on your cell phone.
Yeah, Victor can easily call in on the cell phone, but I'd be happy to tell the jokes. Just if
Tell
you.
the joke, man.
Oh,
I'm going to bag my evaluation for tonight.
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Now we can.
we can hear you.
But I haven't done a thing differently.
But now we can.
But I haven't
Get
done
closer to your
anything
mic.
differently.
That's
What?
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very low. Very great.
That's technology for you.
But I haven't done anything different.
A haircut.
You still can hear me.
Baby.
Yeah, you are a little quiet though, so speak a little louder than you think you might need to. And everyone else maybe turn up your volume.
You still can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Faintly.
All right.
That is so annoying.
I think it's something with Zoom because I saw something similar happen at work the other day where someone's mic just shut off. So
Well, move
I
it.
don't.
Yeah, it was Zoom. Yeah, it's
Moving.
Zoom.
All right, hecklers. Victor, would you like to give your evaluation now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, moving right along, let's give Quinn credit for actually meeting the purpose of his speech. His speech was to develop a detailed vision for his personal or professional life or an organization, and he did that. And this first speech was for him to share some of that. I put down a few notes, and the number one among those notes is, you can't be bad if you're going to quote me. I can tell you that. And quoting me in your speech really impacted how I'm going to do your evaluations. But alas, some speeches lend themselves well to impromptu delivery. I do not think this was that sort of speech. In fact, it is clear that you spent time and energy figuring out your vision, not so clear that you spent time and energy doing your speech. Now, you are an incredible talent, and I've watched you grow the whole time that I've seen you in Toastmasters. And really and truly, Quinn, I see you as a TED speaker because you have that sort of analytical quality in your delivery that's really not boring. See, if I was to be that analytical in my talks, people would fall asleep. But I can just see you with the dark suit and the what is it, the pencil necktie that the people in your generation wear, standing on that circle, in that circle giving a TED speech. I could see you doing that. So in terms of your future vision, maybe you should incorporate that into your future vision, or I would like for you to incorporate that in your future vision. Another thing that I would like to see you have used less words in your slides and more images. When you mentioned a log, you mentioned the picture of somebody thinking or somebody not remembering something. I would prefer that you use pictures, say the same words, but PowerPoint can be laborious sometimes. So I would actually prefer that you use pictures. And for that last slide that you had, I would love to see a picture of you reading, because you were encouraging people to read also, maybe a stack of books. I really love your antidote for procrastination. I'm going to embody that. You said if you can do it in 2 minutes, go ahead and do it now. And in an odd sort of a way, I've been doing that. In future, don't neglect the speech preparation in lieu of the vision preparation. I'd love to see you do the speech again with the suggestions that I made. And finally, make that TED Talk a reality, man. Whoever is the general evaluator or the Toastmaster, I'm going to say, next person.
Thank you, Victor. Let's give Victor a round of applause. Thank you for that grace under pressure when the technology does not go the way you want. I thought you handled it well and you gave a good evaluation, even with all of that happening to you. So thank you, and I hope next time your mic does not give out on you. Next
it's a
up,
gremlin.
it's a gremlin. I love it. Next up, we have our awards master, and after our awards master, she will be handing it back over to the Toastmaster. So please, oh goodness, we didn't vote for best evaluator, did we? So please send a vote to Needy of the best evaluator. And I probably need to kill a little bit more time because she'll have to count those votes. So
And tell us who they were.
yes, our evaluators were Cliff, Josh, and Victor. So choose one of those, send them quickly to Needy so she can count them.
My joke.
You have your joke, Quinn? Take it away.
There was a bar, and a little noggin hops into the bar and goes up to the stool, the bar stool, and he asks the bartender, "Can I have a beer?" And he says, "Sure," and he passes him a beer, and the head tips the glass up and drinks it, and out pops a body part. And he drinks another beer, and out pops an arm, and drinks another beer, and out pops a leg and a shoulder, and all his body parts are there, and he's so happy. This is the first time in his whole life he's ever had a body, and he runs out into the middle of the street, and he gets hit by a car. And the bartender walks out in the street, and he says, "Should have quit while he was ahead."
Give it up for Quinn. Give it up for the Quinn.
The mighty Quinn.
That makes your speech even better than what it was.
Needy, are you ready? Or are you still vote counting? Okay. Oh, you're on mute.
Oh, her mic's gone now, huh?
That's good because there was an and in there somewhere.
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right, Needy, take it away.
Please screen share. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. It is my honor to give out the awards this evening for, one moment please.
Drum roll.
Okay. Sorry, one moment. And the award for Best Speaker goes to Demetrius Chapman for Best Evaluator, Josh, and Best Table Topic Speaker, Adriana.
Oh. Thank you, Needy. And we will pass it back to our Toastmaster, Leon Williams. Leon, you're headless.
He should have quit while he was
Yes. Yes, I should have. Hang on just a second here. Okay, why am I seeing Victor? I'm not sure why I'm seeing Victor and not me.
Because it's your lucky day, that's why.
Yes, it is. Wow, you guys, this has been a very exciting meeting for me. A couple of months ago, my wife said to me, she said, "Why do you go to those Toastmaster meetings?" And I've been telling her this for the last 4 years, but what I wasn't getting is this impacts her Monday evening. When I go to Toastmasters, it impacts her Monday evenings. And she said, but it doesn't do anything for you. And the reason why she said that is because I still speak the same way to her that I've always have. And so one of the things I want to share with you guys is that as we go throughout our week, remember not just be the person you are in the Toastmasters meeting, but when you leave the meeting. That's a very important thing. And your wife won't give you flack about having to go to Toastmasters on Monday if you show her something. As we close out this meeting, Stephen Hawking, famous physicist, author, and scientist, said something really special. He said, there should be no boundaries to human endeavor. We are all different. However bad life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. While there is life, there is hope. So I want to impress upon all of you as you go throughout your week, I have no doubt that you will find all the success that you desire in your life this week. To our president, Mr. Eddie Vieira, to you.
How about a big round of applause for everybody who participated tonight? We're running a little short, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into a couple of things here. I want you all to mark your calendars for September 7th. That is going to be our speechathon. Chris and I are working on that. We started today, and we will touch contact in a couple of days. Chris, is that cool with you? Yep. All right. And then we'll get that fixed up. We're going to try to get in as many speeches as we can, but we also are going to have these speeches evaluated, which means we may have a couple, 2, 3, 4 people from outside of the club come in and help us out.
Is that
Also,
going to be on Labor Day?
Pardon me?
Is that going to be on Labor Day, sir?
Correct. That is correct. Okay. And then our next event is going to be our mixer, which will be September 28th. And I'm hoping Adriana will once again be our MC for that. Oh, excellent. You're so wonderful. Sure. Quinn said you would do it, but I wanted to make sure. I also want to thank everybody and give a round of applause to those who took on last-minute roles tonight. Big round of applause for that. Does anybody have any club business they would like to bring up? We have 1 minute.
Yeah, just quickly, I think later on this week, I'll be scheduling a mentorship meeting with all the mentors in the club, and just to walk everyone through like the do's and the don'ts, what's expected, and how we can help the mentees within the club achieve their goals and their objectives. So look out for that. I'll be scheduling that sometime this week.
That's excellent. Thank you, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Eddie?
Yes.
We got a new member, man. We got to acknowledge.
I think we have a couple of them. Oh, well, no, the newest
We have
one,
a new one that you don't know about.
Introduce them.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you our newest member, Mr. H. Lee Sullivan. Give it up for Lee Sullivan.
All right.
Welcome, Lee.
Thank you.
Hey, Eddie, can
Yeah.
I say something about Mr. Sullivan really fast?
Sure.
Okay, so one of the greatest things about this meeting for me is having my best friend here join my Toastmasters Club. And I never thought that it would happen since he moved away years ago, and he's lived on one island. First, he was in Panama, then he lived on another island, then he's back to Vegas. And so I never imagined that he would be in my Toastmasters group. And so Lee, thank you for being a part of this, and welcome to, wanted to share one other thing. Lee is one of the best singers you will ever imagine. And I had the fortune to have him sing at my wedding in 2004.
Awesome.
And so it was just awesome. So again, back to you, Eddie.
Thank you, Leon.
Lee, you've been put on the spot. We're going to have a talent show later this year, and you're going to be one of our performers. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight and turn it over to Quinn Bunell, our Sergeant at Arms.
Thank you all for coming. Take care and stay safe. Good night.
Take us home, Lee. Take us home, Lee.
All right, folks.
Bye.
Victor,
Bye-bye.
what happened, though? Do you know what happened?
I have no idea. It's the second
Yeah.
time. I got a presentation tomorrow, and I'm going to have to learn how to tap dance or something because my mic goes out. You know, talking
Yeah.
is what I do.
Do you know how to call in if you needed to?
Yeah, the phone number is on the thing.
Yeah, because you can do that. I don't know. I hope it doesn't happen. I'll just cross my fingers for you.
It's managing your insides when that happened. That's all.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's really what it is.
There are ways, things you can do. You can get over it, but the biggest thing you're going to have to get over is what's going on in here.
That's true.
And I'm an expert at getting over that.
Yeah, you definitely are. All right. See you later. Glad we have you.
Good night, my love.
Yeah.
Pleasant dreams and sleep tight, my love. Night off.
This is why you stay
All right.
on to the end. All right.
Yeah, take
Bye.
care.